see it. What you can see is there's a little opening in the trees, kind of a grassy road that comes right down to the shore. The quarry was just to the right of that, and within 100 feet or so of the edge of the water. It's pretty obvious that it become overgrown. You should be able to make out the remains of the dock that was here. The dock itself is gone, but the cribbing that held it up is still there just beneath the surface of the water. Makes it look kind of brown. It was a T-shaped thing sticking out from the shore. It's coming up now just about straight to our left. And if you look near the top of the trees here, you can sort of tell that there's a hole back there. All the stone quarries in this area operated during the late 1800s and until shortly after the turn of the century. They were especially busy after 1871. That was the year of the Great Chicago Fire, as well as the Peshtigo Fire here in Wisconsin, during which entire cities burned all at once. The people rebuilding after these fires, and people in other areas who wanted to avoid similar fires in the first place, began to use building materials that were less flammable than wood. And for quite a while, sandstone was one of their more popular choices. It's hard enough that it makes very durable buildings, but it's relatively soft compared to other common types of stone, which meant that it was fairly easy to work with. The particular stone we have here making up most of the island is part of what's called the Chequamegon Formation. This was considered among the highest quality sandstone found anywhere in the world. But despite the quality of the stone, all the quarries in this area went out of business by shortly after 1900. That was due in large part to the fact that they had developed methods of using steel for construction. It's pretty much the same way that large buildings are made now. Using steel, they could build taller, faster, and a lot more economically than by building with the stone. And basically, the sandstone just lost its popularity. The last quarries to operate in this area finally shut down by about 1910 was the last one. A little later in our trip, when we get to Urban Island, we'll see the remains of a stone quarry somewhat more clearly than we could here. And I'll certainly point that out when we get there. Some things you may want to keep an eye out for, pretty much everywhere on our trip today, is some of the different types of wildlife found out here. There have been dozens of varieties of birds spotted among them. That includes most of the common, smaller songbirds found throughout the rest of this area. For the most part, these smaller birds have no trouble. They can get back and forth between islands. There are a number of It's not real common for us to see these animals on the trips we make out here, although occasionally we do see them along the shores. We've also seen them swim, both deer and bears, very good swimmers. Again, it's really not common for us to see that, but it's something you might want to keep an eye out for. In a few minutes, I will begin to set up and take a break.
যাক, 2-4 মিনিট নিয়ে বন্ধ করে দেবে।
তাই না? আংটি দেবে তো?
দেখাও তোমার মুখটা, দেখাও একবার, দিয়ে বন্ধ করে দিই। হাসি খুশি স্যাটিসফাইড লেগ সিপিরিয়র বুকে, দেখি মুখটা।